So you want a Lamborghini Huracan, but not lose a fortune to depreciation? You found the right video. You see, there are big differences between the models. Some lost almost nothing, while others lost 13% during last year. Key information for the value-conscious buyer. In this video we'll have a look at the price trends for the LP580, 610, EVOs, Performantes, Tecnicas and STOs. Compare them to the market and talk about future price developments. There are some indications that the depreciation rate might accelerate. Let's start with the 580s. Looking at the trend split by the spiders and the coupes, we can see that the shape is similar to the market trend. Values increased up until mid-2022, topped and started to decline. Yet, the depreciation rate during 2023 was relatively low at -5% or $11,700 for the coupes and -6.4% or -$15,900 for the spiders before inflation adjustments. However, the spider market is small, and as you can see from the volatility and confidence interval, the price uncertainty is high. I would therefore rely on the -5% of the coupes. Continuing with the LP610, split by the spiders and the coupes, we can see that the price development is similar. An increase, a top and a decline. Compared to last year, coupes are down by 4.8% or $11,300 and spiders by 5.7% or $14,500. You can also see that the price uncertainty is slightly larger in the latter trend, and this results from a smaller market size. Now the Performante is of course a special model, and in this case it also means a special depreciation rate. We can see a massive price increase during the pandemic, followed by the well-known top in 2022. During 2023 though, the cars lost relatively little. At 2.9% or $9,500, it is the Huracan that lost the least. And this applies to both the spiders and the coupes. However, as you can see, the trend is still pointing down. But we'll talk more about future prices later in the video. Let's move on to the EVOs. Starting with the rear-wheel driven version, split by the coupes and the spiders, we can see that the trends are pointing down. And this isn't a surprise. Compared to last year, spiders are down by 6.1% or $18,900, while this is 5.2% or $15,200 for the coupes. We can see that the trend for the spiders flattened between November and February. Yet, given the downward trend of the confidence interval, I think this flattening is purely a coincidence. Now up until now we've seen that most models lost between 5 and 6%. Not a bad result at all. But from this point onwards, we'll start to see some higher depreciation rates. If we have a look at the EVO market, split by the coupes and the spiders, we can see first of all that the price increase is less aggressive. There's no massive surge. These cars were then also fairly new back in 2020. Depreciation, however, only kicked in during 2023. We can see that coupes are down by 10.3% or $30,100, and that this is 8.6% or $28,800 for the spiders. And this means that prices are now below April 2020 levels, especially if we were to correct these rates for inflation. Both markets are still fairly small, but especially the uncertainty in the spider market is high, as you can see from the confidence interval. So keep that in the back of your mind. And that brings us to the Tecnica, Starato and STO. I figured we can cover them all together. The STOs are in a steep downward trend. You can see that prices are 13% lower than last year, and this equals an eye-watering $60,000. Especially the first 4,000 miles appear to be expensive. After that, the cars start to lose slightly less. On a positive note, the cars that didn't sell within 3 months are being discounted less and less, and this could be an early indicator that we will see a decrease in this 30% rate during next year. Now for the Tecnica and Staratos, I don't have 1 year's worth of data. But so far, the rate seems similar to the STO market. Tecnicas lost 6.9% between August and February. Extrapolating this, we arrive at a yearly rate of 14 to 15%. Let's summarize everything that we've seen so far. Over here we have all the models and corresponding depreciation rates. And this reveals that there aren't many surprises. On average, prices are down by 8%, but the old cars mostly lost less than the new ones. The lowest depreciating model was the Performante, with 2.9%. This is then also one of the rarest models that is displayed here. Much rarer than for example the STO. Moving to the left, we find the LP580 and 610, and the rear-wheel driven version of the EVO. The normal EVO, STO, and Tecnica lost clearly more than the average. Now the big question is, of course, are these numbers high or low? We can only answer that by comparing them to the rest of the market. Over here we have the US year-over-year price changes for almost all cars that feature on my channel. On the horizontal axis we have the price change compared to last year in percentages, and on the vertical axis we have the number of cars to which this change applies. The median decrease during last year was 8%, and most cars lost between 12 and 3%. On average, the Huracans lost exactly the same as the market, but if I plot the different models in here, we can see that Tecnicas, STOs and EVOs lost considerably more than the market. The rear-wheel driven variant of the EVO, LP610, LP580 and Performante lost less. Especially the latter one sticks out. A loss of -2.9% puts it in the same area as the 991.2 GT3 RS. It's also better than some Ferraris or McLarens. But I recommend to head over to my channel and find the Ferrari and McLaren market update videos if you want to know more about those markets. Now so far we talked about the depreciation rate during last year. But most of us of course want to know what will happen during next year. We can only speculate about this, but based on the current data, a continuation of the current depreciation rate seems most likely. Perhaps we'll even see a minor acceleration. Let me show you why. This graph shows that the percentage of unsold cars for most models decreased up until the summer, and then started to increase again. Not an uncommon pattern, as the market slows during the winter. However, it's vastly different than in some other popular markets. For example, we can see that the current unsold rates are mostly the same or higher than in February of last year, while they are lower in other markets with strong price trends, such as the GT3 market. This in turn indicates that the scarcity level is fairly similar to last year or slightly lower. This would mean a continuation of the current depreciation rate during next year, or a slight increase. Also, the absolute levels are with 40 to 50% higher than in some other markets. Looking at the price change for the unsold cars, and yes, I know this graph is a bit messy, but bear with me here, we can see that they are approximately the same as last year. It fluctuates between 5% for the EVOs and 2% for the LP580s. Now all of this means that cars are selling a little bit slower, but that sellers aren't decreasing the prices. It could be an indication of a few things. Sellers might hope that the market will pick up when spring arrives, which could mean that they don't need to drop prices. In a couple of months these cars could be selling like hotcakes. Or they don't want to reduce the listing prices, as that could send a wrong signal to the market. In that case, there could be more negotiation room. Let's wrap up and conclude. If you are in the market for a Huracan and care about depreciation, it pays off to think about the model you want to go for. On average, the Huracan market lost the same as the market, but the Performante, LP580, LP610 and EVO rear-wheel driven variant lost significantly less. Performante prices decreased by 2.9% only, and this is similar to the 911.2 GT3 RS market. EVO and expected rate for the Tecnica are higher than the market average. They fluctuate between 9 and 15%. Out of these, especially the Tecnica and STOs stick out on the negative side. With rates of 13 and 15%, they fall in the top 25% of cars that lost the most. Now all of this of course doesn't mean that we'll see the same depreciation rates during 2024. In all likelihood prices will continue to drop in the future, but I see a slight increase in downside price risk in the Huracan market. We saw that these cars are selling relatively slowly and in some cases slower than last year. The differences to last year are not massive, but the trend in unsold cars differs from markets that have strong prices. And with that we arrive at the end of this video. Now if you enjoy this data-driven way of analyzing car markets but would like to see a video for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you'll find data-driven market updates for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you next week for a new video.